This is you. Behind you stand your father, his father, and his. Keep going back. You'll fly past powdered wigs, steel helmets, mammoths, and then stop at a man squatting in the dirt, chewing on a beetle, and trying not to die before sundown. That man, that's your ancestor. He doesn't know your name, your face, or that one day you'd exist. But his struggle, his survival, it led to you. Now, let's pick a moment in this long human chain. A moment filled with fire, war, and change. The Middle Ages. Welcome to HEH TV, where history comes alive. Here, we uncover the stories that shaped our world. Stories filled with struggle, survival, and turning points that still echo in your life today. The year is 476. The Roman Empire, the greatest superpower of the ancient world, collapses. Roads crumble, trade breaks down, and the order Rome built for centuries shatters. For millions of people across Europe, it feels like the lights of civilization just went out. You wake up one day, and the empire that ruled your land is gone. No emperor, no legions, no safety, just chaos. The centuries that follow are dark, brutal, and uncertain, but they also lay the foundation for the world we live in today. It's a story of survival, kings, peasants, plagues, crusades, and revolutions. And whether you realize it or not, this story still shapes your life. After Rome falls, Europe breaks into fragments. Local warlords and kings rise. Farmers cling to land for safety. Castles appear on hills. And with that, a new system is born: feudalism. If you were poor, your life was about working the land, paying taxes, and hoping not to starve. If you were a noble, your job was to fight, conquer, and rule. But among the chaos, one man rises to power. His name is Charlemagne. He unites much of Europe under one crown, becoming the first Holy Roman Emperor. He builds schools, reforms laws, and spreads Christianity. In a way, he lights a torch in the middle of the darkness. Yet the world is still fragile. Vikings sail in from the north, raiding villages and monasteries. Imagine living in a small town, working in the fields, when suddenly longships appear on the horizon. Warriors with axes charge, and your world burns in minutes. This is the reality of the early Middle Ages. The year is 1066. Across the English Channel, a man named William, Duke of Normandy, sails with his army. He believes the English throne belongs to him. On the fields of Hastings, his Norman knights clash with Anglo-Saxon warriors. Arrows rain, swords crash, and by sunset, the English king is dead. William wins. From that day, he is William the Conqueror, and England is forever changed. Castles rise, French words enter the English language, and a new elite rules the land. But power never stays stable for long. Kings make promises, and sometimes they break them. In 1215, the English nobles rebel against their king, John. They force him to sign a document, the Magna Carta. For the first time in history, a king's power is limited by law. He cannot just do whatever he wants. He is bound by rules. This idea, planted in the Middle Ages, grows for centuries, shaping the democracy you live in today. Meanwhile, the Middle Ages are filled with holy wars. The Crusades begin. Christian knights march across Europe to fight for Jerusalem, the holy city. For 2 centuries, waves of armies clash with Muslim rulers in the Middle East. The Crusades fail in their main goal, but they change Europe forever. Soldiers bring back spices, knowledge, and ideas. Trade grows. Maps expand. The world feels bigger. And then another storm hits. A war between two kingdoms that lasts more than a century. The 100 Years' War. England and France fight for power, land, and crowns. For generations, battlefields burn. Armies charge with knights in shining armor. But by the end, new weapons like the longbow and gunpowder change warfare forever. In the middle of this chaos, a teenage girl appears. Her name is Joan of Arc. She claims she hears voices from God. She leads French soldiers into battle, turning the tide of war. For a while, she is unstoppable. But her enemies capture her, put her on trial, and burn her alive. Joan dies at 19, but her story inspires France for centuries. Even today, she is remembered as a hero who changed history. While kings and knights fight their wars, ordinary people continue their struggle to survive. Farmers work fields, craftsmen build towns, monks copy books in candlelight. The world is harsh, but slowly new ideas begin to take shape. And soon, everything will be shattered by death itself. The year is 1347. A ship arrives in Europe, carrying a silent killer. Rats scurry down the ropes, fleas bite, and within weeks, villages begin to die. The disease spreads like wildfire. It is called the Black Death. People cough blood, swell with boils, and die in days. Entire towns vanish. Families bury loved ones, only to fall ill themselves. 1/3 of Europe's population is wiped out. Imagine walking through streets where the silence is broken only by the creak of a death cart. The plague changes everything. Labor becomes scarce. Peasants demand better pay, and old systems start to break down. When the disease fades, Europe is never the same. The rigid chains of feudalism loosen. Towns grow. Trade expands. People question authority, church, and kings. Out of this devastation rises something new: curiosity, a hunger for knowledge. And from this hunger, the Renaissance is born. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci sketch flying machines. Scientists like Copernicus argue that the Earth moves around the sun. Writers like Dante and Chaucer put human experience into words. The darkness of the Middle Ages gives way to a rebirth of culture, science, and art. But make no mistake, the Middle Ages were not meaningless centuries lost in shadow. They were a forge. A time when suffering, struggle, and survival shaped the modern world. Democracy, universities, literature, architecture, exploration, all of it grew from seeds planted in those chaotic years. Think of it this way. When you sit in a classroom, read a book, vote in an election, or even just look at the map of your country, you are touching the legacy of people who lived and died 1,000 years ago. Their choices, their wars, their plagues, their faith, all of it still echoes in your life today. So the next time someone tells you the Middle Ages were just dark and dull, remember this: without that age of fire and shadow, you wouldn't be here. History isn't far away. It lives inside you.